post-recording Valorcat here. I just wanted to mention there is a slight warning. Um, yeah, some of the characters in this story do threaten people by threatening to shove their intestines inside the other end of the intestine, like a horrifying Ouroboros. So that's about as threatening as it gets. However, it is also worth mentioning that the image for this video is a little sketch I did at work on a piece of receipt paper. It might be crummy, and I know that. I don't know. In future stories, if you want like a better image, I'm happy to accept and display fan art while also crediting the artist. Uh, enjoy the story. Hey, what's up, guys? It's Valorcat. Long see no time. It's been a while. I'm gonna keep this pre-story message brief. Basically, I don't know that I'm gonna be doing much gaming videos, cause yeah, they they're very high effort to produce, and this is not something I want to put that much effort into. Basically, you get hours of footage, and then it takes even longer to edit that. So, considering this is just a hobby, that's not my kind of thing. So instead, I'm gonna be doing short form stuff like short stories, which don't take nearly as long to edit. And they're more stuff that I'm interested in producing rather than just game videos. If I do still do game videos, it's not going to be as long of stuff, if that makes sense. Probably more like cataloging what I'm doing without, doing all of that stuff on camera. So, without further ado, the story, which, yeah, I write short stories. That's my thing now. Tricycles, by yours truly. A plume of dust trailed behind a cluster of dark shapes in the desert. They traveled at a terrifying pace and would leave no survivors. The reputation of the Western Tricycle gang was well deserved. I had maybe 15 minutes until I had to leave. All this scrap is no good if I'm too dead to use it. Plus, I had a few extracurricular activities that needed sorting out. I felt a hand grab my shoulder to get my attention. Andrew, did you see them? Yeah. Tell the others we gotta wrap this up. Get everything loaded in quickly. I want at least a 15-minute head start. Those shapes on the horizon were not to be toyed with. A band of thugs feared by any scavenger who's ever had the great fortune of surviving a meeting with them. I'm one of those lucky few. My parents weren't. I snatched up the metal knickknacks that I'd found and headed to the sleds. I heard a scream from one of the ones being loaded up. One glance at the charred skin on his hand, and I put it together. Another rookie touched the sand. A mistake one makes sure to never repeat. The wasteland sun heats the dunes hot enough to make the slightest contact potentially lethal. The only safe locations happen to be the hills and plateaus that scrap can often be found on. I boarded the sled that was to cover the rear and made preparations. I began by unfastening the cloth that covered the back of the sled. Normally, it stays in place as a rather effective camouflage, at least from afar. It wouldn't convince an one-eyed drunk if you got within earshot. This time, though, I wanted to be seen. I needed it. Satisfied with my work, I decided I'd finish up the gadget. Those knickknacks from earlier would be perfect to guarantee its success. I just have to tighten this spring and snap. The whole mechanism fell apart. Just as the realization of how much I messed up hit me, the sled lurched forward. I panicked. In a mad dash to put my contraption back together, I forgot about the loose cloth. The wind picked it up, sending it high into the air, visible for miles around. A distant war horn sounded. We were spotted. The irony of my plan backfiring hadn't escaped me, but I decided against giving in as so many might have. I worked in complete silence as the sled's crew panicked around me, screaming to each other about how this could have happened. My focus only broke when Dmitri, the sled's mechanic, pointed out how close the tricycles were getting. They were closing in alarmingly fast. I could almost make out the snarls on their faces. I could definitely hear the threats, though. I accelerated my work. Now was no time to get distracted. I had one last thing to do. Just one spring to tighten. 1 1/2 turn of the wrench, and presto, a bear trap. Dmitri, help me open this thing. Dmitri glanced at me and the mechanism in my hands. Realizing the lack of time, he decided not to question me and grabbed one toothy end to slowly force it back as I mirrored the effort on the other side. I'm going to get you and insert your intestines into itself like an Ouroboros before throwing you into the sands, the triker jeered. One final effort against the bear trap was met with a satisfying click as the jaws snapped into place. And before I do that to you, I'm going to yank your tongue out and shove it into... Before he could finish that pleasant thought, his front wheel was wrenched out of its socket by the bear trap, sending him tumbling into the sands and causing a domino effect on his compatriots. I stared at the resulting wreck, confident in my success. That's one less threat in this forsaken desert.